Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Today, more documents were declassified. This time, they're about the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Jerome Powell was referred to the DOJ for criminal investigation, and Elon Musk is having more problems in China. Okay, let's get into it. On Friday, Tulsi Gabbard released documents from the Russia collusion investigation, and she is now calling for prosecution. When Sean Hannity asked Tulsi Gabbard, "Do you see crimes here?" Tulsi said, "I do, Sean. I'm referring all these documents to the Department of Justice for further investigation. Accountability and action have to take place." Before the 2016 election, the intelligence community reported that Russia had no way to cyber attack the election equipment, and any influence that they could exert would be to leak campaign information to try to swing public opinion. Then, after the election, on December 7th, James Clapper, who once held Tulsi Gabbard's position, confirmed that Russia did not hack the election. Regarding whether Russia interfered in the 2016 election, talking points prepared by DNI James Clapper stated, "Foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure to alter the outcome of the U.S. presidential election." However, 2 days later, President Obama's White House gathered top National Security Council principals for a meeting that included James Clapper, John Brennan, Susan Rice, John Kerry, Loretta Lynch, Andrew McCabe, and others to discuss Russia. After the meeting, DNI Clapper's executive assistant sent an email to IC leaders tasking them with creating a new IC assessment per the president's request that details the tools Moscow used and actions it took to influence the 2016 election. Then Obama officials leaked false statements to the media outlets, including the Washington Post, claiming Russia has attempted through cyber means to interfere in, if not actively influence, the outcome of an election. After months of investigation, though, into this matter, the result is that the Steele dossier was deemed as not credible. It was fabricated. And Tulsi Gabbard said, "The issue I am raising is not a partisan issue. It is one that concerns every American. The information we are releasing today clearly shows there was a treasonous conspiracy in 2016 committed by officials at the highest level of our government." And today, the DOJ confirmed that it had received Gabbard's criminal referral. In addition, today, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley released declassified documents that are related to a 2018 report that was written by former DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz. The report focuses on the Justice Department's handling of the investigation into the 2016 presidential election. It also focuses on the Hillary Clinton email investigation during her time as Secretary of State, and to former FBI Director James Comey's handling of that investigation. In response, Attorney General Pam Bondi praised the efforts of Grassley. Bondi called his pursuit of accountability unwavering and affirmed that the DOJ is committed to supporting congressional oversight. Also, another criminal referral announcement was made today. Representative Anna Paulina Luna announced that she referred Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell to the DOJ on Saturday. This was because Powell allegedly lied to Congress about $2.5 billion in renovations for the new headquarters, similar to the Palace of Versailles and its opulence. Reportedly, Powell denied it during a Senate Banking Committee hearing last month that the lavish upgrades were being made in the Federal Reserve Board building, including plans for a VIP dining room and rooftop terrace gardens. Reportedly, Powell said the facility really needed a serious renovation since it had never had one. But according to the criminal referral made by Luna, both those statements are false. Yesterday, President Trump announced that the United States would work to help Afghans who have been in the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, ever since the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021. Those Afghans are now reportedly facing repatriation to the Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. In a post on Truth Social, President Trump reacted to an exclusive report by Just the News about U.S. allies in Afghanistan who have taken refuge in the UAE, but might have to return to the Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. President Trump reposted the report and wrote, "I will try to save them starting right now." That report claimed that the UAE was allegedly on track to send more Afghans back to the Taliban. Nearly 200,000 Afghans were eventually brought to the U.S., while others were sent to nearby countries like the UAE. The UAE agreed to host thousands of Afghan refugees in 2021 after the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. Although the exact number is unclear, thousands are believed to still be in the UAE. Many Afghan refugees have faced repatriation globally. Iran and Pakistan have already returned nearly 2 million Afghans back to the war-torn country. Germany, meanwhile, repatriated 81 Afghans last week. And President Trump has also moved to reduce the number of refugees in the U.S., and this includes Afghans also. In January, President Trump signed an executive order to suspend refugee resettlement. Then in April, the Trump administration ended temporary deportation protections for thousands of Afghans who are currently living in the United States. The Brazil Supreme Court has issued a search warrant and restraining order against Brazil's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, barring him from contacting foreign officials using social media or approaching embassies. Bolsonaro was previously accused of staging a coup to try and overturn the results of Brazil's 2022 election. Now, in addition, he has been charged with seeking judicial intervention from President Trump. Several hours later, Washington pushed back. United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced plans to restrict travel visas for Brazilian judicial officials and their immediate family members. The statement said that the political witch hunt against Jair Bolsonaro by Brazilian Federal Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes has resulted in a wide-reaching persecution and censorship that not only violates the fundamental rights of Brazilians, but also reaches beyond Brazilian shores to target Americans. Without providing further details on who would be subject to the measures, he said, "I have therefore ordered visa revocations for Moraes and his allies on the court, as well as their immediate family members, effective immediately." Brazilian President Lula da Silva sharply responded on Saturday. He criticized the U.S. move as arbitrary and baseless, adding that the action violated fundamental principles of respect and sovereignty between nations. Lula said in a statement, "I am certain that no form of intimidation or threat from anyone will compromise the most important mission of Brazil's powers and institutions, which is to permanently defend and uphold the democratic rule of law." Speaking to Reuters on Friday, Bolsonaro called Moraes a dictator, and he described the court order as acts of cowardice. He also said that he believed the court orders were a reaction to President Trump's criticism of his trial. President Trump shared a letter that he sent to Bolsonaro on Truth Social on Thursday. He lamented the embattled former President Bolsonaro's terrible treatment at the hands of an unjust system turned against you. Some of the world's biggest online platforms are purging accounts. Now Facebook is added to the list. Meta has confirmed that a staggering 10 million accounts have been deleted in the first half of 2025 alone, and the purge is not stopping there. Facebook claims that it will continue to take action against those accounts which are posing as creators but sending different spam, and they will lock them out. Facebook, meanwhile, will be gradually rolling out new changes over the next few months to reduce non-original content on Facebook. The most popular postings on the platform will be original content, texts, or images. Accounts that post non-original content will face penalties at the very least, if not banning. So much for posting cat videos. To avoid having your account shut down, Facebook advises people to avoid posting content that is generated by visible third-party watermarks and content that is clearly generated from other applications or sources. Instead, they should use high-quality text descriptions. And they are advised to refrain from posting ultra-short videos that have little value to the viewer. At the same time, Facebook encourages users to post original content. The company says that it's exploring ways to direct viewers to original content and provide appropriate traffic to creators. Facebook's announcement comes on the heels of YouTube confirming a similar policy change, which will prohibit advertising revenue from mass-produced, duplicated, or falsely transmitted content. After President Trump set a deadline on the Russia-Ukraine peace deal, both Ukraine and Russia have reacted positively. Ukraine President Zelensky said on Saturday that Ukraine has offered to restart peace talks with Russia. Russia responded on Sunday by saying that President Putin is ready to move toward a peaceful settlement, but Moscow will prioritize its goals. On Saturday, Zelensky proposed a new round of peace talks with Russia. He also signaled that he would like to meet directly with Putin. He said, "A meeting at the leadership level is necessary to truly secure peace, a truly lasting one. Ukraine is ready for such a meeting. The pace of the negotiations must be stepped up. We must do everything to achieve a ceasefire, and the Russian side must stop avoiding decisions." According to Zelensky, Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov, who led the initial round of negotiations, has offered Russia another meeting. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov responded on state television on July 20th. He said, "President Putin has repeatedly spoken of his desire to bring the Ukrainian settlement to a peaceful conclusion as soon as possible. This is a long process, it requires effort, and it is not easy." He also pointed out that President Trump's sometimes harsh rhetoric has become normalized for much of the world. He said, "The main thing for us is to achieve our goals. Our goals are clear." During the previous round of talks in June, Moscow insisted on a list of hardline demands to end the war, including Ukraine surrendering 4 southeastern provinces where Russian forces have maintained partial control. A new CNN poll found that Elon Musk's popularity has fallen severely. CNN's data analyst Harry Enton explained how Elon Musk suffered a net drop in popularity from June of 2016 to now.
I would say that I have rarely seen someone who entered the political scene and it has been so unkind to them. What are we talking about here? All I can say is, geez Louise, you know, the first time we ever saw Elon Musk ever polled was all the way back in June of 2016. He was the most popular person polled by Bloomberg back in June of 2016 with a plus 29 percentage point net favorable rating. Down we go as we go to this side of the screen, July of 2025, minus 37 points on the net favorable scale according to our latest CNN poll. Get this, that is a 66-point drop. He is now the least popular person that we polled. So the bottom line is, as I said at the top, geez Louise, you rarely see 66-point drops, but the political scene has been quite unkind to the rocket.
Everyone had a hunch that Elon Musk's decision to form the American Party would cause him to lose some of his supporters. But few expected his approval rating to drop this much. Red State reported that part of that is because of how the Democrats demonized him over DOJ. But Musk himself has also alienated many of the right with his attacks on President Trump. Now, Republican support for him has plummeted.
We spoke about the fact that when you mess with Donald Trump, you go in the grinder, to quote the great movie Good Burger. And Elon Musk's net favorable rating with the GOP in March of 2025, look at that, plus 61 points, 2 thumbs up. We come to this side, July of 2025, after announcing that he is going to try and form a third party. 2 thumbs down. Oh my goodness, a drop of 55 points in the course of just 4 months. I mean, you don't want to mess with Donald Trump.
And this news is almost fatal to his American Party.
You know, there's all this talk of Elon Musk and a third party. Look,
he's talking about it. He's putting it out there.
He's putting it out there. I'd dare say it's close, pretty much close to dead on arrival. Look at this. Favorite third party started by Elon Musk. Look at this. Just 25% favorite, 74%, 3/4 of Americans opposed. And remember, Ross Perot started a third party back in 1993, or was going to start one. 50% favored it, far more than Elon Musk. And of course, that third party not successful. This one, as I said, pretty much close to dead on arrival.
Here's a look at Elon's efforts to save Tesla's market share in China. At a time when the global competition for new energy vehicles has entered a white heat, especially when Tesla is experiencing market pressure in China, Tesla announced via its official Weibo account without warning Model YL, see you in Golden Autumn, and it unveiled 2 official pictures of the new 6-seat extended version of the Model Y. Last week, we talked about the challenges that Tesla faces in China. Data shows that from January to June this year, Tesla's cumulative wholesale sales in the Chinese Communist market were 364,500 units, which was down 14.6% year-on-year, and retail sales amounted to 263,400 units, which was down 5.4% year-on-year. The market share dropped to 4.8%, making it the only company among the top 10 brands of new energy vehicles to see a decline in sales. And Tesla is facing challenges such as slow product updates and a single product line. Since the Model 3 and the Model Y became popular, Tesla has not launched new products for a long time, and it has only carried out modeling and refreshing. On the other hand, Chinese automakers have been rapidly iterating their products, and they continue to eat into Tesla's market by virtue of their high quality, low price, and technological advantages. As a result, Musk has had to resort to the same tactics to compete. Tesla has also begun to adopt the traditional product upgrade strategy of enlarging size, adding seats, and increasing luxuriousness. The launch of the lengthened Model YL is seen as an important strategy in its attempt to stabilize its market share in the Chinese Communist country and to ease competitive pressure. From this, we can see that Tesla, once a disruptor, has been forced to become a follower in the fierce Chinese market. The deeper issue is whether Tesla has fallen into a common trap set by the Chinese Communist Party for foreign investors. Firstly, they lure foreign companies with preferential policies. Then they counter them through technology transfer and industrial imitation, and eventually they marginalize the foreign companies. But this is not unique to Tesla. Motorola, Apple, and Taiwan's D-Link have all suffered similar fates. Musk valued the cheap labor and market potential of the CCP, but he failed to realize the essential differences between the CCP system and the logic of the planned economy. This is not a problem of individual businessmen, but rather a strategic behavior of the communist system. So Tesla's experience has once again reminded foreign enterprises of the high risk of doing business in the Chinese Communist Party. A U.S. citizen has been prevented from leaving China for failing to disclose on his visa application that he worked for the U.S. government. The Chinese-American man works for the U.S. Commerce Department's Patent and Trademark Office. He went to China a few months ago to visit his family, but while returning to the United States, he was prevented from leaving the country by the CCP authorities. The authorities alleged that the man had not declared his employment with the U.S. government when he applied for his visa. Guo Jiankun, for the Chinese government, a Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson, said on Monday that he had no information to share on the matter. He said, "China is a country upholding the rule of law, and we handle relevant cases in strict accordance with the law." Under Chinese law, foreigners can be barred from leaving China if they are involved in unsettled civil cases or under criminal investigation or trial. The scope of unsettled civil cases is very wide, and it can even be something as trivial as disputes with one's neighbors. If the CCP authorities want to create excuses to ban someone from leaving the country, it's very easy to implement. The implementation of an exit ban on U.S. citizens by the CCP government has been a point of friction in U.S.-China relations. The peculiarity of this case is that the person involved is an official of the United States government. This is a very rare situation with a high degree of sensitivity and anomaly. China does not recognize dual citizenship. This marks the first publicly known case of a U.S. government-affiliated person being targeted. The U.S. Department of State has said that these exit bans often lack a clear and transparent resolution process. For its part, Washington often views such incidents as a political maneuver by Beijing to coerce or to pressure specific individuals and businesses to achieve its political or diplomatic goals. Separately, last week, a Wells Fargo executive of Chinese descent had been banned from leaving China, and the U.S. bank suspended travel to China as a result. At least a few dozen U.S. citizens, many of them of Chinese descent, are currently subject to restrictions on leaving the country. The exact number is difficult to ascertain, as such cases are usually notified to the U.S. government by the individuals involved. But most people find out that they are banned from leaving the country when they're ready to leave, and choose to keep a low profile for fear that exposure will make it even more difficult to resolve the case. John Kam, the president and founder of the Dwai Hua Foundation, said that he was aware of at least 30 current cases of Americans being restricted from leaving China. He also said that the actual number could be as high as 50 and that the number of cases is rising. The case of the Commerce Department employee comes as the world's two biggest economies have been at odds over tariffs. China now faces a U.S. tariff rate of 55% in addition to a 10% U.S. tariff on all imports. The State Department said on Sunday that it had nothing to share on the case, while adding that its highest priority is the safety and security of U.S. citizens. The Washington Post reported no administration wants an American rolled up in China at the end of the day. The message was delivered at an extremely high level for the Chinese to let him go. Despite unresolved tensions between the U.S. and Chinese governments, U.S. and Chinese diplomats remain cautiously optimistic about a possible meeting between President Trump and Xi Jinping this year. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters after a meeting with Wang Yi during the Malaysia summit that a Trump-Xi meeting was highly likely. Japan held Senate elections on Sunday. The ruling party, the Liberal Democratic Party, the LDP, failed to take the 50 seats needed to maintain half the parliamentary seats. This is another defeat suffered by Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba following last year's election campaign for the House of Representatives. According to the exit poll of the Japan Broadcasting Association, the NHK, the LDP's pre-selection will be reduced to 33 seats, which will break the record of 36 seats as the lowest since the LDP's founding in 1989. The LDP has had prime ministers in the past who announced their resignation the day after the election due to a big defeat in the Senate elections. However, after the election, Shigeru Ishiba said that he did not intend to resign. The 60-year-old said, "We are engaged in extremely critical tariff negotiations with the United States. We must never ruin these negotiations." He also admitted it's a difficult situation and we have to take it very humbly and seriously. Under Japan's electoral system, even if the ruling party becomes a minority ruling party in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, it can still maintain the operation of the regime. However, the ruling party is in a weaker position in both the House and the Senate and will inevitably face greater pressure. Exit polls showed that the ruling Liberal Democratic Party lost its majority in great part due to the surge in the right-wing vote. The right-wing populist San Sato Party emerges now as one of the biggest winners. The NHK projected that San Sato would win as many as 22 seats. San Sato leader Sohei Kamiya said in his final speech, "I am the leader of the party who will destroy the 80-year-old post-war system. Together, we will fight against globalism." The right-wing populist San Sato Party calls itself the party of do-it-yourself. They warned of a silent invasion of immigrants and they defended tax cuts and welfare spending. Born on YouTube during the COVID-19 pandemic, the party broke into mainstream politics with its Japanese First campaign. They are suspicious about vaccinations and a cabal of global elites. Sohei Kamiya, the party's 47-year-old leader, said the phrase Japanese First was meant to express rebuilding Japanese people's livelihoods by resisting globalism, but I'm not saying that we should completely ban foreigners or that every foreigner should get out of Japan. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember to leave a comment below the video. This is really helping us to be seen all around the world. The more people who watch Front Page, the more freedom-loving people the world will have. And please hit the like button and hit the notification bell after subscribing. And please share this video with your friends and family because everybody deserves to know the truth.